All right, so what's going on, you guys? Welcome to the very first episode of Anything and Everything with D, the podcast where anything goes. Quick shout out to Gotham Podcast for letting me be a part of their family and allowing me, the ability to do what I am going to love very much.
Facts.
Right. So very quick before I introduce my guests, I just wanted to talk about the topic. So the topic we're going to be talking about is the disconnect between men and women. And who I have here to talk about that with me today is Matt Thomas, somebody that I've known for quite some time. So go on ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
I'm a 3-time college graduate.
Hey.
I'm a YouTuber. I've played professional basketball at the highest level, just about. Currently, I'm a mentor. I'm a motivator. I'm a personal trainer.
You're like everything. You're like a Renaissance man. They do everything, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much all over the place. I'm not gonna talk too much about myself. This ain't my show. This is anything and everything.
Yeah, but they gotta know the background. They gotta know why you're here. So the reason that I asked him on, me and Matthew have a lot of really amazing conversation, and he's very insightful. I'm a very deep conversationalist, and I feel like his perspective is very important to me. So he's gonna be the male perspective for us here today.
Yeah, women.
Listen.
That's going to be an interesting topic. I'm going to have a lot of haters after this one. I'm going to tell you that now.
That's cool. I just want you to, I just want it to be an honest conversation because I feel like there's so much going on that we don't talk about.
Okay.
And I feel like when people hear that conversation, they'll be more prone to have those conversations.
Right.
I feel like that's important. So you ready to have this conversation?
Let's dive in.
Okay. So the way I wanted to basically start this off was, what do you think as a man is the greatest disconnect right now between men and women, and why do you feel that is?
That's a tough one. The greatest disconnect that I feel between men and women is that women feel like they're obligated to things that they have no right to from the beginning.
Okay.
Most women come into situations and they're like, I'm the prize, I'm the catch, work for me.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. That's not. We're not gonna start a relationship off like that. We're not gonna start anything off like that.
Okay.
Back in the day, I can understand that. I guess men used to court themselves with women. Used to go over the top for women and stuff like that because they were the prizes. They were the things of that nature. But I feel like nowadays, so many things have changed. Nothing is man or female. Everything is co-ed. I can cook, you could cook. I could clean, you could clean.
Right, that's facts. Facts.
So when a woman comes into a situation and she feels obligated from the jump, she's already setting herself up for failure. So if you put this stigma or these ideologies on me that I didn't even know about, it basically says more about who you are as a person rather than who I am as a man. It's not my objective to live up to the expectations that you have in your mind. So
I will agree with that. I have a lot to say about that. I think I had a conversation with you about expectations, and I kind of just don't like that.
Yeah.
I think I can agree with what you're saying from the standpoint of a woman. Having done a lot of work on myself, I feel like the opportunity that women have is just to be more conscious and to listen more. I feel like women are so emotional. We are emotional creatures, but we're so quick to get defensive, and it's like, well, I deserve this and you have to do this. And like you said, the obligation. So we'll just kind of talk about that, right? Women do feel entitled. And for my ladies, this is not to say that you shouldn't have standards and that you shouldn't and I don't want to say expectations, but you know what you want and what you like, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's fair to place expectations on people because they're probably not even aware of these expectations. And I think that people just need to come to the table with who they are. I think that's also, we're kind of jumping on topic, but we're going to talk about that real quick. I think that's also another problem is that people are just not the truest versions of themselves when they're meeting people.
Yeah, but it's like, how can you be the truest version of yourself when you're meeting somebody when social media tells you to be the perfect image
We don't
of
care
yourself?
about social media, though.
It
We
matters.
don't care.
It matters.
That's the problem, though. See, this is why I want to have this conversation because it does matter, but it's like it shouldn't matter. And that's a reason why I feel like there is a disconnect because society says, social media says, that's all bullshit.
Yeah, but I mean, for you to pull back from that, it's gonna be very hard because you have to think about it. Like some people are at the stage where they'll post a picture at 12 o'clock. If they don't get a lot of likes, they're gonna delete that picture and then repost that
I
picture
know people
later.
who do that. They've had an Instagram for 5 years and they'll have 10 pictures because they're constantly.
Yeah, and that derives more from an insecurity and validation issues. If you're going in your life trying to figure out how to please man and how to get a response from man, you're gonna fail all the time. And as an African American male in the United States, the last thing I really care about is if I'm trying to make the obligations of a female happy. You know what I mean? Like,
I hear you.
you know, and it's cool. Like, you know, I support my queen.
Because
you know,
it's not your responsibility to
yeah,
make her happy.
it's not my
Right.
responsibility. You
That's
know?
her job.
When I come into a situation, I'm going to tell you, like, you know, this is who I am. You know, respect me as such. I'm going to respect you as such. You know, and then everything else is a process. You don't just get to a job and just get promoted to manager or CEO. You got to work your way up. So let's do that.
The analogies. But, like, I don't know. I also feel like just communication, and we all say that, right? That is, like, a pinnacle of, like, relationship things. But I just feel like people don't listen. We don't listen. Women don't listen. Men don't listen. And I feel like that's just like the problem. I feel like men and women place the expectations on one another. They don't follow through. So it's like you can't be mad at someone for not meeting your expectation when they're not aware of the expectations that you have.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, but then communication isn't easy either, because I could tell you, like,
It's not.
I could tell you, I don't like the sex with you. It's trash.
Okay, but let's not say that. Like, we're not gonna say that it's trash, right?
I know. I'm just
we're gonna
saying.
be nice about it.
No, but what if that's just, you know, a guy's lingo? Like, you know, baby, I really don't like it. Like, this is not good for me. You know, women are gonna be like, oh my god.
Oh, see, okay, perfect example. So when I said that women need to be more receptive, if you're my man and you're telling me that, I need to be okay with hearing that. That's the problem. Don't nobody want to hear. You know, when you really care about somebody and love somebody, they're gonna tell you things that you don't like, and you need to be okay with that. Not everything is fucking rainbows and unicorns, right? We all know that. So, like I said, with women, we always feel so attacked and we take things so personal instead of being like, you know what, I appreciate your honesty, because that would have been a problem. Like, if the sex is whack, I mean, it matters.
Yeah.
So as a woman, I need to be able to take that constructive criticism and be like, okay, well, what can I do to be better? Women are not in that type of time. They're like, well, fuck you then. I'll go find somebody else. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. Yeah,
not all women, please.
Yeah.
Please don't kill me. This is not for every female, but I just think that there's a lot of room for opportunity on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So you're saying that the expectations, right? What do you think some things that men can do to kind of bridge the gap between the disconnect?
Okay, fellas, I want you guys to hear me loud and clear. Stop lying to these girls. Stop selling them dreams, man.
Word.
Like all jokes aside, like,
Word,
yo,
yeah.
I came across some females, man, that they was like, yeah, I had a guy promise me a house. And shut up. Shut up. Shut
Why
up.
you gotta be all that, though?
No.
Why
Because
you gotta be all that?
this is the guys that I'm
You
pissed
always
at.
flaming somebody.
No, I'm serious, because the guys want to come into a situation telling the girl all these stories, all these lies, all this, putting up a whole facade that you're not going to be, that you are not that man. And then
Agreed.
you have this woman living up, you know, hoping for these expectations that you're putting on her. You know, she's excited for it, and then when she don't get it, now you a bad dude. Now let's say she come across 2 or 3 dudes like that, you know what I mean? And then she runs into me. I got to deal with you guys' issues and what you guys put on her. So I'm dealing with all these ramifications that I do not want to deal with. I got to listen to all this nonsense that I do not want to deal with, and that's not my business.
Okay.
That's your past. You know what I mean? So fellas, you guys got to stop lying to these girls and come straight to them. Yo, listen, this is what it is. I want to kill. If the killing is cool, we gonna rock a little bit longer.
But this is the problem also, is that, like, again, we ask for the honesty, and when we get the honesty, we don't like it.
no.
So what do women are like, oh my God, I just want him to be upfront with me and tell me what it is. When they get told what it is, it's a problem.
Do I look like a piece of meat to you?
So, but that's another thing, like, women, I feel like we need to just grow that tough skin and just be comfortable with who you are as a person, and just know, like, some men just don't want anything other than sex. If that's okay with you, cool. If it's not, then it's okay to be like, all right, well, I'm not interested. Like,
One of the
it's
biggest
okay.
problems is women as well, though. Like, that's the part of the men's part. But women have a problem with saying things that they want, and they're not prepared for the things that they ask for. You shouldn't You shouldn't ask for a husband if you are not yet a wife. You should not ask for children if you are not financially, mentally, and emotionally stable to have these things.
That brings us into that topic that was supposed to be at the end. We're not going to go into that, but we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you know, you stop asking for all these things that people think that they want because they're looking at social media and this is, oh my God, everything's so great. No.
That's the problem.
that's
You
just
see
not.
social media. You see how social media keeps coming up?
Yes.
I just don't like it. I don't like the stereotypes that society has placed on us, how we were brought up with these expectations. Like, back to that, like, what were we brought up? Men are brought up like, don't show emotion, don't fucking cry, fuck all the bitches. Like, that's what we're gonna do. The women are like, oh, well, you need a man who's gonna provide for you and have a good job. But that's not a man's sole purpose.
Yeah, then
He is more than that. And the same for a woman. We're not here to just fucking cook and clean. Like, that's not I can do that for myself.
it's just hard, you know, for a man to know how to provide. He has to have seen that in his household. So now you telling me to provide, and I've never seen that in my household, but I've been fucking bitches for about 15 years, and now you telling me to not
It's a
be
big,
this nigga.
like, but that's what I'm saying.
Come on.
This is why, like, conversations are very important, because I've said this to you several times, we're being raised by people who are being raised by people who are being raised by people that we're just trying to figure shit out. Everything is as you go. There's no handbook, and I feel like we're fortunate to be, I'm not going to say like woke because I don't like that word, but we're more conscious of a lot of things. And I feel like once you're at a certain age and you're able to make decisions for yourself, you cannot blame anybody for your behavior. If you're a product of your environment, that is your choice.
Yeah.
So we are not able to make conscious decisions and to have these conversations because I don't really feel like how we were brought up or the things that the ideology that we were brought up on, that's not something that I necessarily agree with. So I feel like that's a lot of also where the disconnect comes from, because I feel like we have to unlearn a lot of things. Would you agree with that?
Yes, like, you know, I feel like I have to unlearn a lot of things. I mean, as a man that was raised in an era where, you know, bagging a lot of females was just it. You know, I've been constructed to think this for years, like
Right.
maybe like 2 decades. So it's like now a girl comes along and she's like, well, I want a husband. It's like, you know, I only know how to be a husband maybe for a year or two, but I know how to be a player for 20. You know, are you willing to help, you know, break down these walls that I've created and help me, you know, build up myself up in the man that you want me to be? Most women don't want to build up men. Most women come into situations to be like, I don't want to a guy that's raised by his mom. I don't want a mama's boy. I want somebody that's already put together. You know, this ain't build a man.
Like, build your man. You could
like,
pick and choose. No, that's definitely not.
No,
that's not how that works.
Not at all. You know,
So you just like, you see how everything ties into one another. And I feel like there's like a bigger picture. There's like a big conversation that needs to be had, because I feel like there's many aspects of that disconnect. And I feel like one of those being the expectations, the communications, this lack of self-love within yourself. Because that's another major, major problem, which I know you talk about on your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So guys, Matthew has a YouTube channel where he was doing an ET challenge, which is basically every day he was coming and just talking to you guys about life, love, relationships, basketball, whatever his heart desires.
Yeah, pretty much.
And he was just talking subscribe. I'm going to leave the link down below. He was just talking a lot about self-love, and there is a really big lack of that in this generation, I feel like. And I feel like you cannot really bring anything to the table with anybody if you don't love yourself. And I feel like people don't know what that is.
Yeah, self-love is hard to find, because I didn't find self-love.
Took me a minute.
Sure. I mean, I had these past 2-3 years been tough years for me, to be honest. They've been tough. Like 2019 was just lit.
Yeah.
You know, and now that, you know, 2020's here, self-love was just big. I just had to believe in who I was and the person that I wanted to be. You know, I needed to be who I needed to be now for whoever I needed to be when I was younger. You know, I didn't have that male figure. So who I'm creating myself as to be now is just the man that I needed to be when I was younger. And it was just like, I'm my own superhero. You know, I'm my
That's
own.
Dope.
You know, I'm my own person. Like, you know, I don't wait for nobody else to become what I need them to be. It's like I put the expectation out there. I put the plans out there. If I fail, I fail.
Right.
You know, ain't no pointing the fingers. If I do good, I do good.
Right.
But it's like, don't get too high, because you know, if,
Right.
if
You can come right back down.
You know, come right back down.
down.
You know, God will humble you real fast. So, you know, God humbled me plenty of times throughout the year, and I felt like I needed the validation from the females. I needed the validation from the guys. I needed the validation from the coaches. And that constant like doing something good and then going, you know, it was just like, nah, let me stop doing that. And it's tough, because a lot of people think they have it and they don't.
Yeah, I think that's another part of self-love, it's such a tough process because you really have to go through like some things in your life to be able to experience it, to know what it is, to reflect on it and kind of internalize it and move forward.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem because of like social media, because of what society tells people, oh, this is what a relationship should look like. This is what you should look like. This is how you should be perceived. Like, it's very hard for people to love themselves when they're competing with social media, when they're competing with the world.
Yeah.
So I feel like I don't even know, honestly. Like, if somebody was to ask me, how did you begin your journey to self-love? I'm like, by fucking up.
Yeah.
Like, I really had to go through some things in order to find myself. And that's, like, recent. I'm 30, about to be 31.
Yeah, the thing about it is, I think, you know, for what the viewers don't know, you got kids, though.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I'm a single mom of 3 guys.
Yeah,
Yes.
like, that's
doing
lit.
the damn thing. Yeah.
Like, you got kids, so I feel like you better get it. You know what I mean? Them little niggas gonna be looking up to you like, mommy, you know. So,
That's a massive responsibility.
Yeah.
That's a massive that I don't take lightly at all. And they have helped me a lot on my journey as well.
Yeah, so your growth was just immense because not even just for yourself, you just got 3 little munchkins looking up to you like, yo, you know, ma, you know,
Right.
you know, you're our savior.
Right.
You know
That's
what I mean?
so tough. I think about it all the time. I'm like, oh my God, don't fuck this up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, you know, that's dope. That's dope.
Like when you have kids one day, like it'll give you a new appreciation for your parents, whether or not we have a good relationship with them or not. Like, you kind of understand the struggle, like, oh, like this is what it's about.
Yeah.
Which, you know, like I said, plays into everything about how we were raised and the ideology, and it's just not the same. I don't agree with a lot of how we were brought up, I feel like. And I feel like the millennials,
Yeah. Like,
terrible.
I'm gonna be honest. I mean, growing up, I don't think my mom ever said sorry.
Do you know how hard it is for a person to say sorry? And I'm going to freaking blow up your spot. Matthew does not like to say sorry.
Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't believe in the word sorry though. Like, what am I saying sorry for? Like, let's say me and you get into an argument, and then I said something you don't like. Okay, shake it off.
No, I don't know. I do believe, like, because I am legitimately sincere, like, in my apology with things. Everybody does things sometimes out of anger, and I probably meant it. I'm going to be honest about that, but it's like, I will apologize for how I may make you feel.
No.
Like,
I
no,
made you. I
that's
wanted
me.
to. If I was mean, I wanted you to feel a certain way. I wanted you to feel it within inside, like, because I did it for a reason.
Right.
For me to say sorry after is only for you to feel better, which will contradict everything I did in the beginning. No, I'm not sorry. Everything when people be like, "Oh my God, I have so many regrets." No, you don't. You can't have regrets because when you did those things that you did at that moment,
I don't know if that's a fair statement, though. I don't know if I agree with you, man.
when you were doing things in those moments.
Right. And that moment, right? But
Yeah.
I feel like you
Then
can...
it's not a regret because you just don't like the ramifications that came from the choices
Right,
you
absolutely, which is why people need to own up to their shit.
made. Okay.
But I feel like you can look back and be like, damn, that was a really poor lapse in judgment. Let me not do that again. And you can be like remorseful. Okay. So the topic of conversation is the disconnect between men and women. We have the expectations. Like I said, lack of communication is something that I think is very big. And the reason why I say that that's big is because some people talk and they don't listen. Some people talk to not even listen and exchange. And I feel like another part of communication is being really good within yourself to be able to accept and to hear what the other person is saying on the other end. And I think that's a huge part of the disconnect because, like you said, if you're going to tell me something, whatever you're expressing to me, I need to be okay with that and receptive of that. And I would expect that to be reciprocated.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen very often.
No, I agree.
That doesn't happen.
I suck at communication. You know, I'm not. It's kind of like my way or the highway type thing, and I don't know if it's a lot of men that thinks like this, but the fact
I'm
that
sure there's plenty.
you know, it's just tough because it comes off as like we're asses, and that's not
Yeah.
the case. You know, we've been constructed to be so tough for so
yeah,
long,
yeah, I hear you.
and then we come across someone that's making us emotionally warm on the inside when we had this cold exterior for so long, and now that we have this, you know, people are saying like, you know, loosen up.
Right.
You know, you shouldn't be like that. You know, why are you not showing emotion? Why are you not showing affection?
Yeah, I know that's something that you don't like is when somebody tells you, like, why are you not?
Yeah.
So the same way that that person has to be understanding of you, you kind of have to be not really understanding, but just recognize that that person, this is foreign to them, and they don't know what you've been through.
I guess, because
You know,
I
I don't
mean-
think they mean it in a.
I mean, what brings us to this point that we're at of us having this exterior is a survival mode, you know. So for me to be cold, hard, and straightforward for so many years is survival. It's not because I think it's cool. So when a person comes across and be like, you know, what's wrong with you? Why you acting like that? Now you're telling me the way that I've been for a couple of years. You're telling me something's wrong with it because you don't like it. So
Right.
now it's making me call into question, why am I even
Right.
like this? Now it's making me call into question.
Yeah,
what
there's
put
a
me in
lot.
this-
There's a lot that goes
Yeah.
into that, especially men that are raised by single moms.
Yeah.
Shout out to your mom.
Yeah,
I know
she's
she's
dope.
a single mom.
She's dope.
Shout out to you. Hi.
Yeah, she's lit.
So there's so many different like dynamics that go into that alone, into a man and who he is, and I feel like the expectations that we have placed on you as men for the providing only. You are much more than a provider, obviously. You are your own person, which I feel like is very important, and because of the ideology that I feel like has been instilled into women, we only have that expectation of you, and we're not really sitting here thinking about, well, who are you other than a provider? Like, I care about who you are, right? So we need to have those conversations. That's why I feel like it's important, because women need to be able to step beside themselves sometimes and be like, okay, there's a bigger picture. How else are you supposed to form a relationship if you're not trying to understand one another?
To be honest, my beef with women, you know,
What's the beef?
my beef is that I'm gonna go racial, and I'm gonna say black men are not loved properly unless they have a financial status. If a black man
Okay,
does not
why
have
do you
mon-
believe that
that's
too?
a fact.
Okay, why do
Period.
you feel that way?
Because you never see women really praise black men. Like, you know, I had this argument before with people on my social media, and they'll be like, yeah, you know, black men are praised. Where? To be honest,
I think maybe if they're
Yeah.
talking about like fucking rappers, that's just glorifying.
yeah, like
We're
black
not-
men.
that don't even count.
Black men are not
don't
loved
count.
properly unless they have a financial value, unless they have some type of value that can bring to that woman. A woman would not come into a situation with a broke black man, or a broke man at that. You know, I won't even go into too racial, but a broke man, and help that man get to the point that he needs to be at. A woman won't even be attracted to that. So it's like you come into a situation and you're already looking at my financial. You're saying, oh, well, you don't got no money, so what can you offer me?
Okay.
If you come into a situation where you guys are banging body, what can you offer me besides a kill? You know, so our mindset is, okay, if we're not of financial value, if we don't have a nice car or at least pushing towards a CEO or something like that, you know, women won't entertain us. And as black men, honestly, it's already hard. You know, we
Right.
got to deal with society already of everything else. And then now I'm coming to a situation where if I'm dating someone of my race, someone outside of my race, and they're coming to me on some, oh, you know, what can you bring to the table? You know, and I'm like, yo, you know, I'm struggling. I ain't get no job. I probably won't have that same
Yeah,
opportunity.
I know.
But what if I got a good heart? What if I got a good soul? What if I'm building my relationship with
I
God?
also think it has a lot to do with intention. Like, what are your intentions? Like, well, that's just me though. I'm
What's
different.
my intentions?
No,
Or?
well, right. So you're saying that women won't look at, you know, a black man or praise a black man if he didn't necessarily have money or have all these things. But I feel like what would be important for a woman to recognize in that situation is like, well, this man may not have all of these things right now, but what is his intention like in life? Like, what does he want to do? Does he love himself? Does he have a relationship with God? Like, where is he going? And then they can then choose if they want to make that
The objective
decision into pursuing a man. I don't feel like it's impossible, but I feel like because everybody's so jaded by social media, and that's where you go into the men that have all these cars and chains, but they broke because they're trying to put on a facade that they feel like is what women want.
Yeah.
And it sucks that women would even make a man feel that way. Like,
Yeah, for real.
You know?
Because I'm broke in real life. Like, I'm broke in real life. You feel me? Like, so we gonna just.
You already know I'm broke.
We just
I've been
gonna check
broke,
that
though.
out. I'm broke in real life.
I got 3 kids. I'm going to be forever broke.
You know
Like,
what I mean? So I just think it's just tough because, you know, people are not going to like what I'm saying. People going to be like, nah, that's not true. It is true.
People
because-
are not going to like a lot of what we're both
Yeah.
saying. I feel like women are going to come for me. I'm an advocate for myself because I have grown and I want women to grow and I want men and women to grow together. Right?
Yeah.
So in order for us to kind of bridge the gap between the disconnect, people need to step beside themselves and think about, I'm good. what can I do to you to add value to your life?
That's what I'm saying.
That does not happen.
The purpose of a woman is to multiply anything that a man gives her. So if I give you ingredients, you're gonna make me a meal. If I give you a house, you're gonna make it a home. If I give you sperm, you're gonna make children. This is the objective. So if I come to you and I'm crumbled, build something nice.
Right.
That should be your mindset. Women should give themselves more respect in thinking about what can a man offer them. It's like if you're already making this a give or take type of situation, it's not going to go too much further.
It's not gonna go
so now we look at 6, 12, 18 months down the line. I just wasted 18 months of my life because you didn't know what you wanted to do or because you thought you knew what you wanted in life and then I give it to you and then you actually don't want it. Go ahead, mommy. I ain't got no time for that, man.
That's why people need to know like who they are.
Yeah.
What are you doing with your life? Are you even in a space where you should be pursuing a relationship? And that's the problem. And another thing I know that you've talked about in your videos, like if you can't provide for yourself, if you don't know what the hell you're doing with your life, what business do you have trying to like be a part of somebody else's life to try and love on them or have expectations of them when you can't even do anything for yourself?
Yeah.
That's, I feel like I think that happens all the time.
I agree. I'm just thinking like, maybe a lot of people just need to be single.
And then I agree. People need to, man, listen, you spoke to my heart.
Yeah,
because you need that time for yourself. Like, fucking find yourself. Figure shit out.
But people don't like to be alone because when you're alone, that's when you start looking at all the insecurities that you have of yourself. And then people aren't ready to deal with that because.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
Because we were not brought up being taught that is okay. Like, we are not perfect human beings. Practice makes perfect. I don't like that because nothing in this world is perfect. And we're always going to be trying to become better people. So we were not raised on having these conversations. We were not raised on talking about our feelings. We were not raised on accepting accountability. Boom, big one. Nobody accepts accountability, right? So how are we supposed to like know what to do with ourselves? A lot of people, just like when we seek advice, a lot of us are looking to others like, what do? I need your help. This is my situation, or I need advice. People are afraid to like really know themselves and who they are and kind of figure that out. And it can be like kind of scary sometimes. But.
Yeah, it can, man. It can, because I find myself even getting into my own head at times. Like, just accountability wise, like, I'll have 24 hours in a day. If I sleep 9 of those hours, I'm like, damn.
You wasted. There's a whole other.
Like you went over too much. Now somebody's ahead of the curve of you. Okay, copy. Now I'm working hard. It's like, okay, now I'm working hard on something, on topic. It's like, okay, cool. You got a 15-minute window. You got a 15-minute. I'm always getting on myself because of the productivity that I need to be at. And I don't know if I had to take a step back and ask myself, why am I going so hard? Why am I really pushing for this to be great and pushing for this to be so? I want to make sure that it's for me and not for that of anyone else.
Right, as it should be. That is for, ladies and gentlemen, please take note that anything that you do in this life should be for yourself. I mean, I do a lot for myself. And when you have kids, right, everybody says everything I do is for my kids. Yeah, but you have to do it for yourself first in order to be able to do it for your kids.
Yeah.
So I think you had that right type of mentality.
Yeah, because people just having kids with people that they don't even...
Oh my God, let's not even talk of that's like a whole other
that's
episode.
A whole
like
vibe,
everything that we're
man.
talking about could be like episodes in itself because they're just like we devalue relationships, we devalue marriage, we devalue what it is to really have a child with somebody, and I'm so fucking guilty of that shit. Like my kids' dads, I don't have any relationship with them. They're not a part of the lives of my children. And that's something that I wish that I can go back on and change because that matters. So now I'm introducing a dynamic into the life of my children where it's going to be pretty much just me unless I meet an amazing man and marry him. Cool, but that's not what I'm thinking about right now. So now they have to be raised by a single mom and I have to set that tone. I have to set the bar, so that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I could just,
It's tough.
Yeah, definitely.
So what would you say as far as the disconnect? Like, what are your personal experiences with that? What have you found in your previous relationships was like a common denominator that you've reflected on and been like, maybe this is something that I could have done differently and why there was probably a disconnect between me and my significant other.
A common denominator amongst me or amongst the chicks?
I don't know, because what can there really be is that many common between them and like between different women?
You'd be surprised because
So let's do both. Like, speak on both.
Okay, so I'll say the common
Because then that would speak to your choice in women, kind of, no?
yeah.
Yeah.
I would say at a time, it was like I just was just attracted to broken women. I swear, like it was just like, I see a broken girl, I'm like, ooh, don't save her. She don't want to be saved. Like that was my mindset. I seen a broken girl, I'm like, well, I got her, because if I'm consistent with her and I show her the hardship and I show her like I'm here, this is our team. When it's time for me to shed my layers, you'll be there too, because you seen my work with me working with you. And every time that I built a girl up in the sense of helping them find their value or kind of stripping down them dreams that they had, that they thought that they were doing something, and actually they weren't doing nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, they bounced. You know, they went on.
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. You know,
Crazy,
you know,
yeah.
I mean, none of them look better than me. None of them look better than me.
Heard the vibes.
You know,
Heard the vibes.
that's just a whole another thing. But then I would say, besides them all being broken women, they all had reasons to leave. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't the easiest guy. You know, I was becoming on my own. I was becoming more attractive. I was kind of feeling myself, and I knew what I was doing. You know what I mean? And I didn't. They all felt replaceable.
Okay.
Definitely, I'm almost certain they all felt replaceable, because that was never my concern. You know,
Right.
the women that I chose not to deal with or chose not to be with for long term, that you know, they went on to do their thing and got with somebody else. They're either married, got kids, or maybe in a happy relationship. It's just that wasn't the mindset that I was on at that time. You know, I still wanted to experience life. I still wanted to experience things.
Right.
And at the time, I wasn't understanding. I'm like, damn, like, you know, I must be really messed up. Because at first, I used to always blame women. Oh, this woman was wrong. This woman was wrong.
Yeah, we do
This
that.
woman-
We do that.
And necessarily, it wasn't even the women that was wrong. It was necessarily me, until when I had to sit back and look at it. And like, I don't hold nothing against them. They went on and did what was best for them.
Right.
And I'm glad that they did, because now the impact and the lives that I'm affecting now and the person that I am now is just totally different.
Right.
You know, and I don't think I would have been able to be that person if I
Had
stayed
you
in those
not,
situations and stuff like that.
That's
So,
what I say. Like, experience is so important. It's like the best teacher.
yeah, you know, that's just the thing about it. You know, I have to be okay with that. And once I got okay with it, it was letting me know, like, damn, you just stripped a layer of validation. And then, you know, then my workouts and who I am as a person, it's like, oh, you stripped another layer of validation, you know. And I probably still have like a layer or two of validation, you know. Of course, you know, that's just.
I think that's just human nature.
you know,
I agree wholeheartedly.
So I still do, and just my self-awareness, you know, self-belief, self-love, and my relationship with God is, you know, my most consistent things that I want to make sure that I never lose faith in.
So we've had this conversation previously, back to societal expectations, how we're always like, you got to find you a good man. You got to find you a good woman. How do you feel about that term, good man, good woman?
Every woman feels like she's a good woman. Every woman feels like she's a good woman, and that's a lie. It's a lie. You can't.
I mean, it's because, you know, we have the wrong expectation or the wrong idea of what is a good man.
You probably feel like you're a
What
good
is a
woman.
good woman?
I mean, and it's like,
I'm a good woman for myself.
okay.
Yes.
I guess that's like
I'm not worried about.
That's like a safety question.
That's not no, because that's how
safety
that's how I feel. I don't feel like stop it. Because I had to learn that.
Yeah.
I had to learn that through a lot of trial, tribulation, and self-love. That I'm not. That's placing an expectation on somebody.
Yeah.
So when I'm getting to know a person, I would love if I could be myself and not have you place expectations on me, and vice versa. So what's gonna make me a good, whatever we wanna, you see the air quotes, quote unquote, good woman? I think it's just being true to who I am as a person,
Yeah.
and being the best version of myself every day. That to me is like, I would call that just a good individual, like a good person. What is a good woman? Because I can cook and I can clean and I can lay down in the bed, that doesn't make me anything special.
Nah, and that's the thing. Like, it's like, I guess
That's what we're, you know.
I guess it depends on who you are, because I could say a good meal is, you know, filet mignon, mashed potatoes, and greens. Or you could say a good meal is arroz con pollo, and then, you
Right.
know what I
It's
mean?
different. It varies, but it's like, the same thing about men provide, women.
The difference is,
do.
I think I'm a good dude though. You know what I mean?
Why so? Tell the people. Tell the people.
Before I used to think I was a good dude because I'm like, you know, I'm attractive, you know, I'm good in bed. That was my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Now I kind of know I'm a good dude. Cuz there's nothing a female can offer me that I can't do for myself except have children.
Mm-hmm.
I can cook, I can clean, I can
Mm-hmm.
provide, I can save, I can work hard, I can do all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Copy. So now we understand that. Let's put that on the table. Then I feed. And when I say I feed, I don't just feed you. I feed your soul. I feed your mental. I feed your spiritual.
Which is really important.
And I feed who's the person that you want to be and the person that you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
So then I then progressively moved down, and then I would pray with you. You know, I would build with you. I would help you achieve your dreams.
Right.
These aspects you don't even have in friends nowadays.
No.
And I'm your dude talking to you like this. So so your girlfriend that you've been friends with for 15 years, that ain't help you never do nothing with your life. And she over there still your friend.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then you having arguments with me about nonsense, but you're not arguing with your friend about not pushing that button to push you to be a better person. I feel like the man that I am now is a total different animal. You know what I mean? Like I'm like 3 female friends in one, and then you could gossip with me. You know what I mean? You could tell me the good juice that
you're
the
funny.
tea.
You're a great friend.
You know what I mean? So I feel like all those things matter. So I feel like that makes me a good dude. My flaws of me being a bad man in a relationship is, you know, I have an attitude problem. You know, because of how I was brought up. You know, where I'm at now, and then I have a communication problem. So now you're telling me you have an attitude problem and a communication problem.
Right.
So those two things together.
See, but I feel like as long as you're upfront about that and you give the woman the choice, if that's something that she wants to pursue, like you're accepting accountability for that. We are not perfect people. You know, you're being upfront about it. Like, listen, I struggle in this area. I'm working on it. It's up to that person to decide if they want to.
Yeah, but what
was that face for? What was that?
Because what girl's gonna say no? To be honest, like
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't think most women would say no because it's like I'm offering you everything else. So you probably would think like, oh, you got a little
everything
attitude. He got a little
Mm.
attitude. He got a little communication.
But you know what? The problem with women is that they put up with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like just on the side, like we put up with so much bullshit because we think that that's what love is. Like that ghetto love, that if you don't make me cry and I have to call you 1,000 times type of shit. No, shit is for the birds.
I mean, yeah.
Like we have to endure a lot, but we allow a lot as well, which is the problem. That was off topic anyway, but
You guys create a lot. It brings you back to you guys create this image in your head, and that causes you guys to get heartbroken about that.
But I think the growth is like so important and so special. And that's why I just wish that people would just like talk. That's one thing that I do now. I don't care if it bothers the person that I'm dating. Like I over communicate. I would rather over communicate than under communicate. And I try to do it in a way that is like not confrontational. Because I feel like I don't want there to be any room for miscommunication. I don't want there to be like a big issue because something was misconstrued or because I wasn't clear about how I felt or they weren't clear about how they felt. And I think that that's important, like for people just to have like be friends, right? Get to know a person for who they are, know their scars, make sure that they're working on themselves because people are not perfect, and you might find somebody who's a work in progress that you really care about, but as long as they're working towards being a better person for themselves, then I feel like, okay, it's not terrible.
Yeah, it's not terrible. I just feel like you know, bringing this back to the disconnect between males and females. I feel like females undervalue themselves and undervalue men.
Agreed.
You know, like I said,
Agreed.
when
100%.
The thing that I hate the most. Like I want to make sure you guys are paying attention. The thing I hate the most is when a woman says, "You are not a man."
What does that do? What
That
does
does
that
not
do
make
to
you.
you?
I want to smack
No,
the
don't.
living hell out of somebody. I'm gonna be honest with you, and you know, from my YouTubers, I'm just joking. Yeah, I'm just joking.
Right.
You know?
But I feel like women shouldn't be talking to men. I think we have to be very conscious. It's just like a lot that we need to do as men and women. Like we need to be conscious of how we speak to each other. I would never ever tell a man that he is not a man.
It's like,
or like, oh, you're not a man because you don't provide, or oh, you're not a man because the sex isn't good, or oh, you're not a man because you don't have a college degree. Because does that really matter?
No, it does not.
It does not. Like, Mom, I'm gonna blow up your spot. But like my mom is like, when are you gonna get your man that has college degrees? Like, what is that doing for me?
Yeah.
Is that doing anything for him? That's not doing shit for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you gonna pursue what you're getting a degree in? If you choose not to, that's your fucking prerogative.
Yeah.
Like, we just need to be conscious of the things that we're saying, how we're making men feel, and like undervaluing ourselves. I think that was a really like important thing that you hit on. Men and women undervalue themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, men put on a facade, women put on a facade, and it's just like a snowball effect. Like I said, everything goes into each other. Self-love, undervalue, like the way we were brought up, everything just comes together, and it's a fucking disaster.
Yeah, because you got to ask yourself, like, women be like, oh, you're not a man. It's like,
Why the fuck not?
what is your definition of what makes a man a man?
Right.
And try not to use the word provider.
Right.
Try to use something totally different.
What can you say? There's nothing for...
Yeah,
that's like it's like been burned into our brain, which
Yeah.
is like unlearning.
And that's the thing,
behavior.
like a female can't come to me. First of all,
This is not like the fucking 1800s, 1900s.
Yeah, you can't come to me on some type of time like, oh, you're not a man. Excuse me? Like, you can't tell me that I'm not a man. Do you know what I had to endure to get to this point in my life? I wasn't supposed to make it past 21, let alone 18, and then you telling me that I'm not a man because I'm not doing the things that you like or the things that you want. And if I wasn't a man, you probably saying that you don't even got a father figure in your life to be putting that type of stigma out there on me. So first of all, come check yourself before I come check you for myself. You know what I mean?
You know what else? I think you're not a father yet, but I feel like for parents, another thing that women do that I think is very unfair, like we do not give fathers enough credit because a lot of men out here are raising men who were not raised by a man. I feel like that's very important. That goes to women, how women also speak to men. It's like that all plays a part. And for women to have like these expectations of men, I think is really unfair.
For you. Okay.
Yeah, that to me is like, it's hard because then these women are damaged. This is why it's important, ladies and gentlemen. Self-love is the best love.
Yeah.
Love on yourself first because that's where it all starts. Look at all these things that we're talking about. Every single thing that we have spoken about is a part of the reason why we're just like, and I feel like we put each other down so much. Men and women really, like I know that you're talking to me about like women on Instagram or social media always talking about, oh, he ain't shit or blah, blah, blah. Women do that. And I don't know why. I don't know if it helps you sleep at night, like whatever the case is. I don't agree with it. I think that you should take a look in the mirror before you decide to say anything negative about anybody else. And the same thing for men. Men, bitches ain't shit, whatever. That's just like what it is. I don't think that'll ever change.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's very important. Like, sit down and ask yourself why you're going through this. What can you do differently? Because if this keeps happening, obviously it's not the other person.
You know, people that like us that's pushing towards things and trying to be better and trying to get those goals and stuff like that. Just make sure that you guys stay consistent. You guys don't fold because it's so easy to get wavered lost, and get you know, and just not be where you at. You know, like, you know, this is the biggest testament I want to give is, you know, I'm proud of you for doing this. You know, like this is pretty big. You know. For you to actually put it into fruition. This is a very big deal for me, guys. You know, this is you put it to fruition. You know, you weren't just talking about it.
I'm actually doing it.
You're actually doing it, and that's going to change the narrative because now you're creating a visual book for your kids. You know what I mean? Like, you know, now they're going to be like, you know, my mommy's a talk show host. You know, my mommy's, you know, this and that. My mommy's, and that's big on you because
just doing it. That's the biggest.
That's the biggest thing, you know. And now you know you're gonna walk out here with your head high and. You know, hopefully, you know, your mindset with this, as the same with my YouTube, is all you got to do is affect one person.
Right. That's how I feel like what we do is so important because just, even though for me, this is a big deal. So other people might be like, oh, she just has a podcast. No. Why don't, like, come and start your own podcast? Just the idea of me wanting to do something and putting it into fruition, that's a big deal. What you do, all your YouTube videos, how you travel, your clothing line, amazing. You travel for basketball. People knowing that they could also do those things is important. Yeah. People looking at us, like if they can do it, I can do it too. That is the most important thing. And like you said, if we can reach one person, then that makes all the difference. Which is why I think I said to you the other day, like, I want to change the world. And you were like, that's not possible. But I was like, you know what? Like, if we work on being better people, if everybody was just a better version of themselves, then things will change eventually.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
I have hope.
You know, because
I'm hopeful.
This is big, you know. You might motivate somebody to start their own podcast. But then you're gonna shut those people up that think you can't even start a podcast. Like, oh, it's
That's
easy to
fine.
start it.
It's all good.
Yeah.
That's something that you're gonna have to teach me to deal with. Is like the people. People always gonna have something to say,
Oh, that's the
which
best
is
part.
fine. But I feel like I'm in such a good place, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, that it's like I'm doing this for me and people like me who have experienced things, and through our experiences, people can relate to that, and it might help somebody. I know that you've helped a lot. You've helped me like immensely. So
Nah, that's and I had no idea. You know, all I'm doing is just telling my testimony. All I'm doing is just telling my scars and showing how I'm going to push past things.
Right.
A lot of people think it's always, you know, roses and sunshine. That's not the case.
It's
You know,
not.
and
People don't see. This is what they don't see.
Yeah,
You know,
people don't see
behind
that.
it.
Yeah. Hashtag.
Word.
You know what I mean? But the thing about it is that I wouldn't want anything in my life if I didn't have that grind sensation. If I didn't grind for it, if I didn't,
you wouldn't know what it was. Yeah.
I wouldn't be appreciative of it because it's gonna be like, I got it.
Yeah.
You know? But to grind for it and look at it in a different
To
light,
work for it.
yeah, that's something.
That's one of the
totally
best
different for me.
feelings. Yeah.
Something totally different for me. You know, like people
I
don't
agree.
understand how long it takes you to get to the certain point. And like I said, when I'm at my life, I be thinking about these microwave results. I be like, I need this now.
Instant gratification.
Yeah.
It's definitely frustrating, but I feel like, you know, as long as you keep pushing forward, and then when you get to that point, you look back and you were like, you know, I'm glad that everything happened the way that it happened.
Because it's supposed to.
Which is why these conversations are very important and why we're going to have them a lot.
Yeah, consistently,
Yeah.
right?
What is the takeaway from this conversation? No. I just, you know, so I'll let you finish. But I just think that the biggest takeaway is that be a better version of yourself. Like, be conscious of the decisions you make, hold yourself accountable. And I think that just speaking from a woman's perspective, I'm going to speak to my ladies, we need to learn to step beside ourselves, kind of, and just be a little bit more understanding and compassionate. Not to a point where it's like affecting you and you're compromising who you are as a person.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But definitely, like, be understanding of that man, be understanding that he's going through things too. Like, he's a human, just like, you know, we're all human. We all have the same blood. And I think that we just need to be conscious and open to having those conversations and open to accepting accountability and open to hearing things that we may not want to hear and just having those conversations. I feel like that is so important.
Yeah.
How about for yourself?
I feel like, you know, to take away from what we had, the conversation we had today, man, it was a lot. But, you know, start off with the first thing is like, just know you. You know, if you don't know how to start, like you don't know where to start at, just wake up in the morning, look yourself in the mirror, and just say 3 positive things.
Yes.
You know, just say a couple of positive things to yourself to like, get yourself jolted. You know, and just say a prayer to God, like, you know, we gonna get today going. You know, I'm gonna tell you this: that if the devil's attacking you consistently, that means you close to something.
Great,
so,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
So keep pushing.
Just keep pushing it.
Keep pushing forward.
And beyond that, like, you know, get your priorities straight. A lot of people don't have their priorities straight. And we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we're doing. So
right, which is why we need to be having these
focus up or get out the way. You know, period.
Facts.
You know,
I agree.
Fail early or fail often.
Yes, guys, definitely go check out his merch, his YouTube channel. Go subscribe. I will have the link somewhere. Yeah. Because this is gonna be on more than one platform.
Yeah, because you multiple platform mommy.
Stop.
You multiple platform mommy. I'm just one. She's like multiple. So.
But no, thank you for coming on.
Yes.
I'm gonna have Matt on here quite a few times. His perspective is very important to me. Yeah. So thank you for coming.
No diggity. No
I
doubt.
appreciate it, and thank you guys for listening. This is officially the end of the first episode, and we're gonna continue to bring you greatness.